that this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
So I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this, he think he this. You don't even know me.
That's it. This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it. I don't give him any energy. I give haters no energy. Those were the defiant words of a celebrity trying to distance themselves from a scandal that has consumed headlines and shocked fans across the globe, the stunning arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. But while Diddy sits at the center of the storm, his dramatic downfall is pulling others into the spotlight with him. And one name in particular has left many in disbelief. Steve Harvey. Yes, that's Steve Harvey, the world-renowned comedian, TV host, best-selling author, and public figure who's built his empire on humor, faith, and fatherly advice. For decades, Steve has been the go-to guy for
Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
Steve has been the go-to guy for relationship tips, moral guidance, and life lessons on everything from career success to love and spirituality. He's the smiling face of family-friendly television, a man often viewed as the wise uncle of pop culture. But now, that polished image is being tested. As federal agents tighten their net around Diddy's alleged criminal empire, which includes claims of racketeering, exploitation.
I've had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Exploitation, and even secret surveillance at elite celebrity parties, attention has turned to the people who were closest to him. People who were regular fixtures in his world. People like Steve Harvey. When news broke that Steve had reportedly left the United States the same day Diddy was arrested, the internet lit up with speculation. Was it coincidence, or did he know something was coming? This isn't just gossip. Investigators are now believed to be reviewing.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
The roles of many of Diddy's high-profile friends and associates. Sources claim that some witnesses have already started talking, and their stories are placing familiar faces like Steve in a very uncomfortable position. Could it be that Steve Harvey, the wholesome, faith-driven family man, was involved in something far darker than anyone imagined? The questions are piling up, and so are the whispers. The arrest that changed everything. It started like any other morning in Manhattan. But by the afternoon, headlines were screaming. Sean Diddy Combs had been arrested by federal agents. The charge
replete with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras throughout his home.
The charges? Racketeering, conspiracy, human trafficking, exploitation. Words that sound more fitting in a Hollywood thriller than in a real-life case involving one of the most iconic figures in music and pop culture. For decades, Diddy has been at the pinnacle of the entertainment world, helming record labels, launching fashion lines, producing TV shows, and hosting legendary celebrity parties. But as the charges unfolded,
that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
The facade began to crumble. According to the indictment, federal investigators allege that Diddy was running a criminal enterprise, an organized, decades-long operation that involved the use of power, money, and influence to manipulate and exploit people behind closed doors. And crucially, he wasn't acting alone. That's when the shockwaves began. Within hours of Diddy's arrest, social media exploded. Industry insiders and A-list celebrities began going silent, wiping posts, canceling appearances, or quietly getting out of town. One name that immediately stood out? Steve Harvey. Reports began circulating that Steve had abruptly left the country the same day Diddy was taken into custody. For many, this raised a red flag. Was it a coincidence? A previously scheduled trip? Or did Steve...
Alleged evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
Or did Steve know something that hadn't yet come to light? The timing couldn't have been worse or more suspicious. And with federal agents reportedly investigating Diddy's inner circle, everyone who had been close to him, everyone who had attended those notorious, exclusive parties, is now being looked at with a new lens. Steve Harvey's long-standing friendship and public admiration.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
For Diddy is well documented. The two have been photographed together at events, praised each other in interviews, and crossed paths repeatedly in the entertainment world. Over the years, Steve became a regular fixture at Diddy's events, gatherings that, according to recent lawsuits, may have been hiding disturbing secrets behind their glitzy facades. Now, questions are mounting. Why did Steve leave the country right when the scandal broke?
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest the guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
Was it an attempt to distance himself or avoid scrutiny? Was he just another celebrity caught up in the orbit of a powerful mogul? Or could he be a key figure in a much bigger, darker story? At this point, no charges have been filed against Steve Harvey. His team has not made any official statements. But the public silence is growing louder by the day.
We all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy. Yikes. She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
And so is the speculation. Steve Harvey's departure from the U.S. just as Diddy was arrested has sparked intense speculation, especially when you consider the nature of Diddy's infamous inner circle, and the dark revelations now surfacing about what really went on behind the velvet ropes. For years, Diddy's parties were the epitome of celebrity excess. We're talking
that he controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
We're talking about star-studded events in multi-million-dollar mansions, on private yachts, and in high-rise penthouses. These were not your average Hollywood get-togethers. These were exclusive, invite-only gatherings that attracted A-listers from every corner of the entertainment and political world, music icons, actors.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap.
Actors, pro athletes, executives, even members of royalty. To the public, it all looked like glamorous networking and harmless fun. But according to recent lawsuits, insider reports, and sworn testimonies, these parties may have served a much more sinister purpose. Sources now claim that what happened after the cameras stopped flashing and the media left was deeply troubling. There are serious allegations that Diddy's events were coordinated fronts for illegal and exploitative activities that may have included coerced acts, drug use, trafficking, and even the secret filming of high-profile guests. Multiple reports claim that surveillance equipment was discreetly installed throughout the venues, including bedrooms and bathrooms. The implication? Guests were potentially being filmed without their knowledge, creating a vault of blackmail-ready material involving the rich and powerful. This is where the story takes a dark turn and where Steve Harvey's name keeps coming up. Sources close to the investigation say that Steve was not just...
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
An occasional attendee. Allegedly, he was a frequent guest, someone known to be in the mix at several of Diddy's most exclusive and private gatherings. While simply attending a party is not a crime, the problem arises if, and this is still alleged, he witnessed or participated in the disturbing activities now being detailed in lawsuits and FBI documents. In fact, a handful of witnesses are rumored to have specifically named Steve in their interviews with federal agents, placing him at certain events where inappropriate or illegal conduct was taking place. These individuals, according to leaks, aren't just anonymous internet trolls, they're people who were there, some of whom are now cooperating with law enforcement. To be clear, Steve Harvey has not been charged with any crime, and no formal allegations have been filed against him as of now.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in the...
But the optics are damaging. And the longer the silence from his camp continues, the more people are left wondering. Did he know what was really going on? Was he a passive observer or something more? If he's innocent, why leave the country during the biggest entertainment scandal in recent memory? What once seemed like harmless celebrity hobnobbing is now being reevaluated under a harsh, unforgiving light. Why Steve Harvey? Sources close to the investigation claim that Steve Harvey wasn't just a casual guest, he was a frequent and active participant in Diddy's events. Witnesses are allegedly cooperating with the FBI, and some say they saw Steve involved in what's being called unseemly and possibly illegal behavior. Even more troubling? There are rumors that Steve is being looked at not just as a bystander, but as a potential participant in criminal activity. The flight from the U.S. Steve's sudden departure from the United States, just as Diddy was taken into custody, is raising eyebrows. While his legal team has yet to comment publicly, the silence is deafening. Critics ask, why leave if you have nothing to hide? More names dragged in. Steve Harvey isn't the only one under the microscope. Cuba Gooding Jr. has been linked through court documents, and even Prince Harry's name has surfaced, though not as a suspect, but as someone who once appeared at a Diddy-hosted charity event. Even rising star Christian Combs, Diddy's son, is reportedly facing legal scrutiny. Meanwhile, brands once aligned with Diddy, from Revolt TV